Welcome back. I want to show you U.S. markets because the Nasdaq has turned positive here. You can see it's up more than 0.1%. The S&P and the Dow still in negative territory. The Dow about 0.4%. European markets are closing right now, and it looks like it's going to be a mixed finish across the pond. You can see that the DAX and the FTSE trading in the green there, although barely so. I mean, essentially flat on the session, and the CAC there in negative territory. Tyler.
Melissa, some mixed news on the housing front. CNBC's Diana Oleg joins us now from Washington with details on today's key reports. Diana.
Well, that's right, Tyler. Two big reports, and neither of them particularly stellar. But we also got some commentary from Case and Schiller sitting together in a rare moment. We'll get to that in a minute. First, let's start with the stats. Construction. Sales of newly built homes fell 1% month to month. They're up about the same year over year. Inventories, though, are down to a 6.3-month supply. That's the lowest in a really long time. And good news, the trouble is demand. It's a real problem. New construction is competing with a big distressed market, with a big supply of existing homes, and with a shift toward renting.
You can't ignore the fact that there's been a sea change in attitude as well. I think people are not thinking of home ownership as the risk-free way to wealth that they used to.
Now, while sales of newly built homes are actually up annually, existing home prices are falling more steeply year over year. Despite monthly seasonal bumps up, prices on the S&P Case-Shiller 10 and 20 city indices are down 3.6 and 4.5% respectively. 11 out of the top 20 cities are seeing deteriorating prices. Will that get worse, we ask, with the debt crisis?
I think more important would be the effect on confidence and our national spirit, which is so conflicted right now, and it's harming our sense of confidence. That matters more than the direct effects on interest rates.
And that's what I'm always talking about, is consumer confidence in buying a home. We saw a huge cancellation rate on existing home sales last month. A lot of that due to consumer confidence. When they see prices falling, they pull out of the deals. But again, we have to look forward toward mortgage rates, which we're about to talk about. Right, Melissa?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are the two big factors. Diana, stay with us. With concerns about the debt ceiling growing, are mortgage rates set to go higher? And if you're a homeowner, is it time to refinance? Do you want to lock in a rate? Joining us now is Robert Dietz, economist at the National Association of Home Builders. On the phone, we have Shari Olefson, real estate attorney at Fowler White Boggs. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Robert, let me start with you. I mean, interest rate's a huge factor when you're buying a home, when you're selling, when you're refinancing. Where do you think they're headed?
Well, it all depends on the debt negotiations, the debt ceiling talks. There is some expectation if you had a debt ceiling default or a downgrade, that interest rates could rise. No one knows really how much. I think the bigger issue is certainly uncertainty. Uncertainty and weakness in the job market, which is holding home buyers back from purchasing a home, which is why you see continued low levels of new home sales.
Robert, we know the factors. Take a stand. What do you think? Are interest rates going to go higher?
Well, it depends on the politics. My expectation is that a deal gets done and interest rates remain basically where they are right now. But, you know, it's harder to forecast the politics than it is the markets.
Shari, how about you? Let's say there is a debt ceiling deal, but let's say there is a credit downgrade of some magnitude on U.S. debt. That would ratchet up interest rates across the spectrum, wouldn't it? And if so, by how much and how soon?
Well, no one really knows, but significantly. If the Treasury rates go up, of course, all other interest rates are going to go up. You know, the thing here, there's two prongs. First of all, we've got consumer confidence, as Diana was saying. And, you know, most people would argue that that's being eroded right now anyway. And I have to say, any debt cutting that's going to solve this problem right now is going to impact people. We're going to feel it in further consumer confidence, and we're also going to feel it in consumer spending. The other component is the rates, as you said. But, you know, here's the truth, is most people are not qualifying for those super low rates now. And let's remember that 30% of our sales now are to cash and investors and foreigners anyway. The bigger issue with those rates, other than housing and the prices, is going to be those adjustable rate mortgages. And if the rates go up, we are absolutely going to be seeing more defaults and more foreclosures as a result of those adjustable rate mortgages.
So, if I could add one thing on that also. If I could add one thing, we also have to look that it's a perfect storm happening this fall. Not only do we have the debt crisis and a possible downgrade, but we also have the end of conforming loan limits coming in October. Now, there's a big push to have them extended yet another year, but most people expect that they will go back down. That's going to make mortgages more expensive for those above the $417,000 range and $625,000 range, depending on where you live. And you also have QRM. Those are those new standards for risk retention in mortgages, which are going to be decided this year. And that is expected to push mortgage rates up as well. So whether the debt crisis is solved or not, I still think you are going to see rates rise from this fall and into
if you're in the market right now, would you buy a house today? And if so, what kind of mortgage would you take?
Today is a good time to buy a house. Prices are low. I would take a fixed rate mortgage. I'm just naturally conservative in that sense. But I think those points are correct about the conforming loan limits issue. That will have an effect on home demand in the fall. There is some talk now that maybe the administration is going to reverse course and push to extend those loan limits. And what the market really needs right now is housing policy certainty with respect to QRM, the mortgage interest deduction, the debt ceiling, and the conforming loan limit.
Sherry, give me your best advice. If I have an adjustable rate right now, should I refinance and lock before rates go up? Is now the time?
You know, of course, if you can. The problem is so many people are underwater, and credit is very tight. I just came from a National Association of Realtors conference in Memphis on Saturday, and the feedback I'm getting from realtors is it's just so hard to get their buyers qualified. Big issues with appraisals, too, now, because prices are still falling. But you know what? At the end of the day, Melissa, the one thing that's going to save housing is that people need a place to live. So it's going to come down to...
But they can rent.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. Do I rent or buy? Fortunately,
but what about rental prices going up? The more demand you have, the more prices are going to go up for rents, and at some point, people are going to have to turn and say, wait a minute, this is getting way more expensive than buying a home.
Yep, you're right.
There be that turning point in rental demand.
We need a healthy job market.
That too. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thanks to all of you for joining us.
Housing tracks job growth and job markets locally, nationally, wherever you want to look.
That's
and
true.
when we come back, inside the campaign, our John